What's up, everybody? Today we're going to be looking at this knife right here in the box here. This is a Kershaw, and if you can tell from the side, this is the Kershaw half-ton or 1445. Got some knives here for size comparison. Got a mini grip, and we got a Spyderco Tenacious, and you can see that the half-ton is a pretty small folder. The mini grip's already pretty small. It's considered by many to be a 3-finger knife, so this would probably be a 3-finger knife for you, depending on how big your hands are. But you can see it's a pretty small folder. Some quick specs: the knife is 3.2 ounces, which is actually very stout for a knife this size. The blade length is 2.5 inches. Overall length is 6 1/8 of an inch. Closed length is 3 5/8 of an inch. Handle is glass-filled nylon with a Santoprene insert, and the steel I do believe is ACR13 MOV. And I'm just going to preface this by saying this is probably the best knife for the money that you can get on the market right now. Barring a few Sanren Muse or something, especially in the price range, this knife is just phenomenal. You can get this knife for about $10, $10 to $12 shipped to your house. And for that money, this is a very dependable pocket knife. The only thing I really have to complain about is the looks. I don't think it's a very good looking knife. To be honest, I prefer the looks of some of the cheaper Sanren Muse over this. But if you can get past the looks, it's just a fine, dependable knife. Let's start with the blade. 2.5-inch blade of ACR13 MOV. It's very nicely satin finished, very even grinds, and very good transitions between the grinds, and a nice tip too. It's also a very stout blade. It's sort of a spear point, but it's actually relatively thick. If I can get my mini grip to compare thicknesses, I mean, it's thicker than my mini grip, the steel. And it doesn't tend to taper as much because you do have a hollow grind here, so it remains relatively thick to the edge. Because of that, it is a very strong small folder. Very stout. The blade, unlike most Kershaws, has this satin finish. You see bead blast on a lot of Kershaws. And this is a much preferable finish because satin tends to rust much less than a bead blast, because the bead blast tends to open up the pores. If you look on the back side of the blade here, you got the model number, the 1445, Kai patented and ACR13 MOV, and this is a Chinese-made knife. Despite that, especially for the blade, it just performs phenomenally. It has good edge retention. It sharpens up super easy, and it hasn't rusted in the time I've had it, which is several months, maybe about like 4 or 6 months by now. Beautiful blade shape. Factory edge is good too, with a nice relief edge. If we look at deployment, I mean, this knife comes out very quickly. It's super smooth for one thing. I've never had a folder this cheap, this smooth. It's just super. It's like it's on air. I think the reason for that is because the more I get to use plastic washers, the more I like them, nylon washers, because they just have a superior smoothness to them, and you can deploy this very quickly. The thumb stud is a tiny little thing, really, just sort of a standard thumb stud. It's a little bit small, so that's a little small, disadvantage. But besides that, I mean, it's easy to access and it flicks out very well. Ergonomics on the handle are good. I mean, you can treat this as a 3-finger knife, but at least for my hand, I can put a second finger in this choil here, third and fourth here, and fifth on this little ridge back here, and it actually holds in the hand very, very well. If you want to kind of push the knife down in the grip, then it turns into a 3-finger grip, but you can really get 4 fingers on this if you really try. That's, I think, in part due to the height of the handle, which gives it an extra little more beefiness, and it's a pretty thick knife. If you look at, compared to the mini grip, which is already a bit chunky, I think that with the Santoprene, it's definitely a bit thicker. The red, glass-filled nylon is a decent looking color. I really like the color, but a little bit of the design elements. Pretty good jimping on top of the handle here. The Santoprene inserts, I don't think they're necessary. They say Kershaw on one side, nothing on the other. They don't really add grip, just a little more beefiness to help fill the hand. It does say Kershaw. You know, this material is, I don't know how to describe it. It's like a very, very slightly softer material compared to this harder red plastic here. This is sort of like a very, very hard rubber. It doesn't really have any tack. Construction is pillar with a nice stop pin. The clip on the back here is only one position, tipped down, and it's got this weird sort of screw thing. Maybe you might be able to use that for some, very specific bit, but I don't think it's just a design element really, and it's a pretty cool wrench style, clip here. Nice pivot. It's adjustable. Torx. Lock is a liner lock, but it's actually a pretty thick liner lock too. If I compare it to the Tenacious, they're actually about the same thickness. The half ton might even be a bit thicker than the Tenacious, which is already considered a decent strength knife. A decently heavy duty knife. But this thing has a thick liner, and it goes over really easily too. So it's just a super smooth, super easy to operate, and super strong folder, and I really like that. Centering is almost perfect, just like a millimeter off. Overall though, if you're looking for like a sort of a small EDC, 2.5 inches if you don't mind the sort of short length, but you still want something really stout, go for the Kershaw half ton. I mean, for the money, this is probably the best knife one of the best knives I've ever handled. And to be honest, if you're going into something knowing you're probably going to beat up your knife, take this thing with you, because I know this thing can probably take whatever you can throw at it. I mean, this is super strong, very tough little folder, and low price, super tough, cuts super well. You can resharpen it easily, and despite it not being the prettiest knife in my eyes, it does have that interesting artistic sort of design flair that gives a little bit of character compared to a lot of the boring knives out there. But that's my review of the Kershaw half ton. Highly recommended. For $10 if you're looking for something in this size, or just looking for a small EDC folder, or even looking for somebody's first knife. This is a great one, because it's also definitely very sheeple friendly due to the colors and like the sort of interesting look to it. But anyways, Kershaw half ton. Hope you guys enjoyed the review. I'll see y'all later. Peace.